It says it out loud, but.
Okay.
Do I have speakers on?
Somebody says recording in process.
Yeah.
Here.
It is.
Okay, all right.
Good morning. Good morning. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the New Britain Township Board of Supervisors meeting for October the 20th. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right. So the board met in executive session today before this meeting to discuss personnel, real estate and litigation matters. Agenda item 4, presentation. We have a presentation about a sewer authority sewer use ordinance from John Larson. Would you like to come forth and?
Sure, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So I think everybody knows I'm the executive director with the Sewer Authority. Been here for several meetings in the past. What we've discussed with Mr. Fox and Mr. Holbert is the desire to pass a updated sewer use ordinance. It'll cover a lot of things. Primarily what we're looking to address in it is high strength waste for industrial users and have a framework in which that's defined and allows us to be able to charge surcharges for industrial users that discharge strong waste to the sewers. Because those have a higher cost of treatment, we don't want to pass that along to our residents. Additionally, there's also a provision in there that will provide for sewer lateral inspections at the time of the sale of a property. Again, that's to address I&I that comes into our system, inflow and infiltration when we get wet weather, puts a lot of burden on our system. It's an area that we've identified is potentially a place that we're getting water into the system on the private side of the system, the sewer laterals that the homeowners use. We felt at the time of sale is the least disruptive to address that, as opposed to trying to roll out a program where we go through the township and start knocking on doors to do those inspections. So, there's a lot of other stuff in there. I know we've submitted that. We have passed the ordinance that we submitted. We have passed with Chalfont Borough in conjunction with them to do the same thing. And now we'd like consideration from the board to pass it in the township so we can start with enforcement on that.
Okay. Just to clarify, can you tell our residents who are in attendance what a sewer lateral is?
Yeah, so the sewer lateral is it's the pipe that connects the home to our collection system. So we own all of the collection system. Anything from the curb line essentially is the easiest line of demarcation into the street is our responsibility. We own that. From the curb line to the house is the responsibility of the homeowner. That's part of the private plumbing system that belongs to the house. So if that's the simple definition. There are times when that line moves if there's not a definitive curb line where sewer mains were run through easements and such as it might be. Generally speaking, that's the definition.
Okay, and would it be your entity that would be doing the resident would then entertain you to come and do the inspection, or would they have to get somebody else?
So we would review the inspection. The inspection would have to be carried out by a plumber or a contractor that has the equipment to do that. It's usually a televising. A camera put down the system. It inspects for breaks in the pipe, leaks, root intrusion, sags in the line, anything that might be a deficiency that would allow rainwater to enter the system. You'll get heavy rains.
And then they would have to repair that before the house sale would go through? Okay. All right. Any questions from the board?
Do you have any idea, or can you give us an idea of what that inspection would cost?
It varies by contractor, but usually somewhere in the $400 to $600 range is what we've typically seen. Again, there are contractors that do it for significantly less. There's ones that want significantly more. We don't provide a recommendation for contractors because we want people to be able to select who they want to use. The way we've set it up with Chalfont Borough is at the time that a resident comes in and submits a UNO application to begin the transfer of a property. At that point, just like an electrical inspection or, code inspection or any other things that need to be done before the time of transfer, they would have a contractor come out and televise that line. They would submit that video. We have it set up with Chalfont where that gets submitted to them and then they send it over to us. We could discuss logistically how that best works with your staff. And we're actually setting up we currently have my IT group setting up a portal where they can upload videos directly, so there's no need to transfer thumb drives as it may be. Then our staff would review that and provide a letter for review for the inspection and note any deficiencies that need to be addressed. One of the things that we had provided in the packet we sent over is our resolutions governing both strong waste and the sewer lateral inspection. In that resolution, it's a 5-step grading system from, I think it's one high or low.
One's low.
One's low. So one is a new system that, has no issues, everything's great, there's nothing to do. Going all the way up to a 5, which would be a major failure. So either a collapsed line or a major break or a section of pipe missing or whatever the case may be. And then there's different remedies for that for each class. So obviously a minor deficiency may not be, you have to take it up and replace it. It could just be something that needs to be, addressed through having the line snaked or cleaned or something like that. A major failure like a break or a collapse would have to have it dug up and replaced.
I've briefly reviewed the ordinance, shall not pass. It's about 40 pages.
It's a heavy read. Who's counting?
Would it be appropriate if we were to undertake this to do 2 separate ordinances, one for residential and one for commercial users?
So I'll let Joe step in if you want to answer on that.
My name's Joe Bagley. I'm
My
a solicitor for the
Yeah.
authority. The ordinance itself already discusses what applies to residents and what applies to non-residents. So I don't think it would, I think it would actually complicate matters to split it in half. Inside it actually says, for instance, one of the regulations is for fats, oils, and grease. That only applies to non-residential users. It says it right in the ordinance.
Mhm.
It only applies to places like restaurants and food service establishments. Doesn't have any application. That whole, I think that's a section. That whole section has no application to the residents at all, and it says it right in it. Doesn't apply to the residents. So I think it's very expressed right now what applies to the residents and what doesn't apply to them.
And in the ordinance, is it, I believe it says that it's the seller's responsibility
Question?
to obtain the inspection
Yes, it does. It says it's a seller's responsibility.
at the seller's cost.
Yes, and that's why one of the reasons we figure the best time to do this is when someone's already selling their house, not any other time, because they're a highly motivated homeowner at that point. And there's other things they have to take care of and they're cleaning up as they're putting the property out on the market. And this should be one of the things that they clean up, a very vital thing for them to clean up.
Is new construction exempted?
It is. The new construction, it says right in the ordinance, new construction is exempted. And there's also a time period after you have one of these inspections that even if you sell the house again right away, I forget what the time period is, like 18 months,
Yeah, I
something
think
like that. 12 months, you don't need to have it inspected again even if you sell it very quickly.
Hmm.
But I also think the inspection is good for 5 years after the inspection.
Inspection, good.
Yes, yeah.
So
I would think so, because I don't think much is going to happen in 12 months unless there's some,
I think.
Major
there's a
earthquake or something.
ordinance that says that if it's new construction,
I believe new construction is 2 years.
it goes for approximately 2 years after new construction. I think there's a provision in there that says after you do an inspection, a
Mhm.
brand new inspection, it's good for 5 years.
okay.
5 years.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so the intention of this is to ensure the integrity of the sewer system,
Yes.
not having either industrial or residential issues with sewer lines down the road, right? So and you said the seller who would be motivated, but I do have a question because on page 20, section 3, your page 20, I'll just read it. It says, in the event that any transfer occurs without an inspection having been conducted and without the seller obtaining a certified report, the buyer or purchaser of the property shall be responsible for having the aforementioned inspection conducted and for the submission of the certified result to the authority, if I read that correctly. So that means it would be incumbent upon the buyer at that point.
That's correct, which
Which-
is currently the current system that we have where there's no requirement for inspection.
Right.
When you buy it, all deficiencies, they become your deficiencies. So if we ever go out and say, look, we've identified a major inflow point
Right.
of water coming out of a lateral, and we find it's a broken lateral on customer's property, we'll notify them that it's their responsibility to repair it. So that's exactly how we're currently set up.
I guess, and that's where my question comes in. So it's already incumbent upon the buyer if something goes wrong. I had a home, a different area, not New Britain, prior to this. And maybe about 2 years before we ended up deciding to sell, we had a collapsed line and we had to fix it and dig it out and everything. And that's fine. I'm glad that the new buyers didn't have to deal with that. But it was, we lived there, we had to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I feel like
I don't like the wording of that. I think it needs
it's
to be cleaned
it's
up.
confusing wording in that section right there because
I'm not sure. I understand what you said, but I don't think you triggered this, what she's saying. Because that contradicts, if you transfer it, you need a UNO, that's where we're gonna have it on our end to catch it.
Yep.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, there's no UNO after this adoption, it goes out now.
I
That's
w-
just new construction.
I would put transfer also, because some people just don't buy or purchase the home, they may inherit it.
yeah, that was another one, transfers, yeah.
And that's part of why we had language in there is, even with a good UNO process, there's always the potential for a claim to slip through. It's within a family particularly, right? If the property gets transferred, it doesn't go through the UNO process because the transfer is not handled by a settlement agency. It's not handled by a
Right.
title company that goes, what are all the boxes that need to be checked?
So how does this cover those individuals as well?
Well, that becomes the responsibility of the buyer, exactly as it would be now, because if there's a deficiency, that is the responsibility of.
Right, but then we're not identifying those issues. I just want to make sure it all makes sense for
I
everyone.
think what you're saying is, if we don't know about that transfer, then we don't know about the transfer, and it's never gonna come up until there's a problem with the sewer lateral. And when there's a problem with the sewer lateral, there's going to be a new transferee in that property who's gonna be responsible for that lateral. So that's the way it's gonna happen, because they're gonna be the owner of the property.
I think I'm just confused with the wording, and I think maybe that could be cleaned up.
I understand what he's saying. Yeah, so if they don't do the inspection, you buy the property, it's basically the same situation.
That's what I'm saying, that's what we-
You're buying it without knowing what.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So I'm trying to understand having that in there because that's already what we're doing.
But it's to
if it
catch the transfers that happen without.
that there's been a transfer of that deed, then we know they didn't come in for a UNO.
Okay.
And then that's reported and then.
So would that, when you get the
That
report of the
It's
deed?
the authority to, when that buyer says, I just bought this a month ago, so you need to go after the seller, it allows the authority to say, that's your responsibility, not the seller's responsibility. And the seller may have done something wrong by not getting this inspected,
Mhm.
but you're the one on the hook because you bought it. And that allows the buyer in turn, this is a lawyer speaking,
Yeah.
turn to the seller and say, you had a responsibility to do this and you didn't carry out your responsibility.
All right. I think I'm understanding better now. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, yeah. So the idea there is it puts them on notice then as the buyer, if it doesn't get done, that it's not gonna be the township or the authority going after the seller. You gotta take care of it still, and if you wanna deal with the seller, you gotta deal with it because, or your title company, or your real estate agent, or whoever, because they did something wrong in the transaction where a law was violated, we'll say.
Happens with, this is, you can't answer this for you.
Yeah.
What happens if there's a mistake made and they happen on the township and staff level of they're not notified? And I don't know if you've had it happen yet.
We have not, we're just rolling this out.
What happens
So-
if we,
Talk to Tim. You talk to your new, you talk to Tim.
Violate our own ordinance.
What if we fail to notify them? Well, yeah.
they're covered.
I
Yeah.
think we also want to just
Yeah.
interject into that. We also are going to approach the realtors
Yeah.
and explain this new ordinance in Chalfont and New Britain and we're gonna do some education on our end, really.
I mean, the actual answer to your question, Craig, is this is where the ignorance of the law is never an excuse, even if something falls through the cracks where someone fails to, properly put on there, the law is out there, it's on the books. I mean, everything's on the website now. And something doesn't get from us to them, well, the realtor still has a job to do.
I believe also nowadays you have to fill out a form when you're selling a house
Mhm.
that goes with the, with the
Disclosure.
Yeah, I think we have a disclosure ordinance.
That's what I'm trying, there's a lot of steps we have to do on our end, and I'm here representing the zoning officer and building code official, but I know it's a lot, but there's a lot of stuff. that comes in. Like, I don't see it, we have timeframes too.
Yep.
Like, but I don't see a timeframe when and I'm already familiar with this one, another client, but there's no timeframe for your review. So it just says authority review of the video. You're not under the time clock, but we are.
We would be under the same time clock you are.
Okay.
Because that's standard, like, under the standard real estate agreement, all inspections have 15 days, right?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Usually.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that would be automatically
Okay,
dictated by.
you just say such review shall be reviewed, but there's no time clock anywhere on the authority side to get back. Is there an issue or not? And we have a time clock.
There's also a provision in there that allows the township to issue a temporary UNO, minor repairs. So because John mentioned that grading of different defects in the lateral, if it's something minor, it allows the township to issue a temporary UNO, doesn't hold up the sale because of a minor situation. Because you can imagine if it's a major problem in the ground, that should be something that delays the sale, so that gets fixed.
And then that complies with, the state's Municipal Code Compliance Act, where if there's a transfer and depending on it, we have to issue a CO. And they have 12 months now, I think. They cut it down from 18. They cut it down back to down to 12 months that they have to correct the issue if they're the seller or the buyer, excuse me, for unrelated to this.
Yeah, I think it needs more study, and I'd certainly want our solicitor to look it over. I think some things could be tightened up a bit. When you get an attorney, they're always going to edit your work, so. But yeah, I don't want, I want it clear. I don't want any confusion about, and I want to make sure the township never becomes liable for any of this, should anybody mess up along the line anywhere. I can't buy liability for the township.
We've taken out almost every reference to the township in the ordinance and made sure that it mentions the authority and not the township.
So,
Just think we need
we'd still be named, so you know that.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? No? Are there any questions from the public? No? Well, we thank you for coming and explaining this to us. We'll
Yes, thank you.
take it under advisement and
Great.
keep you abreast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 5, motion to consider consent agenda. A, approve the minutes from the September 15th, 2025 Board of Supervisors meeting. Approve minutes of September 23rd, 2025 Board of Supervisors meeting. Approve the regular bills lists as followed, dated October 1st, 2025 and October 15th, 2025. D, approve prepaid bills lists as followed for September 18, 2025, September 25, 2025, October 1, 2025, October 9, 2025, and October 15, 2025. E, approve escrow release number 1 to Benner Subdivision LP Dolly Lane in the amount of $69,630. F, approve escrow release number 1 final to Alberto Tessie at 9 Sellersville Road and 15 Sellersville Road in the amount of $79,305. And G, approve the application for payment number 1 final to Bray Brothers, Inc. for the 2025 road program in the amount of $277,755.25. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
All those, is there any questions from the board? No? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Action items. A, consider a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-06 modification to NBT non-uniform pension ordinance. Dan?
Yes, as you recall, we had a actuarial study done of our 9-year pension plan this spring to see if we can make any improvements and make it more in line with the township police officer plan. The cost study came back and identified the current multiplier right now is 1.25% for each year of service, and it takes 4 years of service to achieve a 50% pension. Police pension plan is 2% a year multiplier with 25 years to achieve the 50%. The cost study came back and said for an additional $11,000 a year cost to the township, we can make those changes. And that's because the plan is extremely healthy. Good management over the years and excellent performance in the plan itself through investing. It's very strong. So board and the pension committee both recommended we make these changes. We authorized at our last meeting to prepare and advertise the ordinance, been duly prepared and advertised, and it's before the board tonight for adoption.
Okay. Do I have any questions from the board? Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2025-06?
So moved.
Stephanie, do I have a second?
Second?
Bridget? No more questions from the board. Is there any questions from the public? No? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Action item B, discussion of the following zoning hearing board applications. Scott?
Yes, since your last meeting, the township has received 3 applications for the zoning hearing board. One for 31 North Chapman Road. They're requesting a waiver to install a deer fence on their property. One for 102 Morningside Circle. They're requesting to have a 3-season room, a sunroom installed where their existing patio is, and that would create a minor encroachment into the rear yard setback. And the last one is the Walnut Street Hanover Company's variance. They're requesting a variance from the building height to exceed the limit of 35 feet, and they're requesting to go to 49.5 feet. Staff, myself, Craig have reviewed these applications. Our recommendation for the first 2, for 31 North Chapman Road and 102 Morningside Circles, for the board to remain neutral. With regard to Walnut Street, that's a development going on, and there might be some concern from the board. So I think a discussion on that one and potentially our involvement at that hearing might be warranted.
Yes, I do agree with the concern about the height increasement at the moment. As I see, I do not see a hardship because there's no actual tenant listed to go with the applicant. So personally, for myself, I would support a motion if we would like to have Scott attend the zoning hearing board to oppose the application.
Make a motion to have Scott attend it.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Bill and a second from Mary Beth. Is there any other discussion from the board?
No, I support sending Scott.
Okay. All those in favor, please say,
Public.
Yes, go.
okay. Do I have any questions from the public? Sorry, I had to think of the word. Please stand up, come to the microphone, state your name and address.
Mary Margaret Briggs, 245 Forest Park Drive, Chalfont, New Britain Township. The only thing that I do want to point out, and I brought this up at the last meeting, besides the height variance, there seems to be a variance with the site base ratio because of floodway, wetlands, anything around the stream that goes through that site is not being counted. So there would be an additional variance they would have to bring to the zoning hearing board.
Well, at the moment, they're only bringing the one variance, so
The one they brought.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
haven't done a review yet. There may be more. This is a critical one per my discussions with their team. I believe Scott heard that as well. So I would say this is a deal breaker on their end. They'd like to get this out of the way.
Okay.
They have a lot of work to do yet.
They do have a lot of work to do. I just wanted to point.
And they've
that out.
actually already acknowledged your other concern already was addressed and they've already modified that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
any other comments from the public? No? So I have a motion and a second. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes. So Scott, you will be attending
Mhm.
zoning hearing board.
And that would be on November 20th.
Thank you. Okay, action item C, consider a motion to approve a waiver of land development for 400 High Point Drive. Craig?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe the applicant is here. Okay, this is the first time the board's seeing this one, correct?
Correct.
Do you want to present your project at all? 2 minutes? While they're getting set up, this is a very small application. You had a few of those last meeting. They're requesting a waiver of land development. The township staff did support that. We did have a staff meeting. We've done 2 reviews, actually. There was some other issues going on with the site that we had a staff meeting. I think it was very beneficial for the township staff, and we all got on the same page. So we did a second review, and now requesting a waiver of land development from the board tonight.
Okay, so before you start, could you make sure that that microphone is on, please, right there on the end?
It should have a green light.
Good, thank you. Please state your name and continue.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. My name is Tom Nab. I'm the site civil engineering consultant representing this project tonight. With me is Jack O'Brien, who is representing JBT Merrill, who is a tenant here at this property. So I'll let Jack just give a little bit of background about what it is that JBT Merrill does, and then I'll take you through the plan.
Evening. JBT has been, Automated Systems has been in the facility for approximately 40 years. Prior to being JBT, we operated under the name FMC Corporation. We design and assemble automated guided vehicles for use in warehouses, automotive facilities, and so forth. Basically, it's a robotic forklift, unmanned forklifts. Again, light assembly work, a little bit of warehousing, no heavy machining or fabrications or anything along those lines. The project that we're presenting is implementing a dock door. And the primary reason for adding the dock door is improved flow through our facility. In addition to some of the equipment that we manufacture does load and unload trailers. So as part of our process, we need to test that equipment. And I currently don't have the capabilities to do so on site at this point in time. Primary reason for making the changes.
Okay, great. So as Jack mentioned, the site is currently developed, the existing building, and this is an aerial shot of the property fronting on High Point Drive. The existing building is about 68,000, 69,000 square feet. There would be no expansion proposed with this project. It is just a dock door and loading dock area, which is at the rear of the property. And I can take you through just a more zoomed in version of that. So this is the new dock door location at the rear of the building, and trucks would access from as you saw in the previous image, there's a southern and a northern driveway. They would both enter and exit from the northernmost driveway, entering here, backing in, and offloading and doing the testing that Jack mentioned. And to achieve this, very minor site modifications, mostly through parking space restriping, some minor grading and repaving, but a majority of this is being done with a minimal amount of disturbance. We are proposing a new ADA access to a new door that would be used for the office within the interior modifications of this building. And as a result of some of the parking modifications, we are losing parking spaces. Currently, there's 231 parking spaces on site. From restriping and re-adding, our net is 207. The ordinance that you passed in July would require 275 parking spaces, but also allowed a reduction of 25%, given your approval and supporting documentation from the traffic engineer, which we've provided through traffic planning and design, utilizing the ITE guidance for manufacturing use, which we would classify this as only 64 parking spaces would be warranted. So we're providing 207, which represents the 25% reduction from 275. Again, all very minor improvements, and again, seeking a waiver of land development tonight. So would love to open up to any questions you might have and answering them. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could, before we get into public comment and other questions, this was the first time under your new ordinance where we added, I just wanted to advocate because I know Planning Commission and other members and the board and prior staff wanted to reduce parking and impervious. So this is a good example of the new requirements, even though it's 16 building, required a lot more parking. So in your new updated ordinance, it allowed a study to be done by a licensed engineer. We reviewed it as well, and they were well within compliance of what the existing use was. So they didn't have to provide any more parking. And I think that worked very well for a small project. We have existing building already built out. They're just making some minor modifications. So that report, parking report, worked very well. Another comment that was discussed at staff level, I guess there was some confusion. As part of your waiver of land development, you would be waiving recording of plans, development agreements, financial security agreements, all that. Typically with a project like this, we would still recommend a record plan, not do development and financial security agreements since the project's so small, but they still establish an escrow to pay for any inspections, legal and engineering work that has to be done with recording of the plans. But part of our recommendation doesn't exactly address that. Scott and I are fine if you still record the plan, but not do any agreements. And we just post additional escrow at the township for any legal and engineering inspections, but they would waive the development financial security agreements and any financial security that would be needed to secure your improvements since they're all private.
Okay.
Is that a fair compromise? I know we need the plan recorded because you're changing stuff. So we need to record the plan.
And it really would just be the escrow to get through to the final conditional approval. And
One question would be the escrow, what would that be established as? Like,
it would be your professional, the one you have already now. We would
Okay.
just update that.
I got it.
Just to
Okay.
cover our inspections, our time now. And then usually there's a call about a change, you have a question out on the site. So we're not gonna have full-time inspection or anything like that, but it would just be more, we'll work out the number, but
Sure.
you wouldn't have to post financial security to guarantee all the improvements and do all the agreements. So,
Yeah.
So that would be part of this. That's not addressed in our letter. It recommends everything. So that would be a change if the board so chooses. And I think that was it on your end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless there's any other questions, we can.
Oh.
circle.
I
That's all I have.
I have one question. So if I understand this, you're not increasing or decreasing impervious?
We are increasing impervious by about 100 square feet per your ordinance. One evergreen tree is being planted to manage that 100 square feet.
Okay.
161, I think, but split hairs.
Well, then you need to plant 1.6 evergreen.
Considering there's a forest right behind this lot.
I do know. Well, ordinance is the ordinance.
Yeah.
1.6.
Any other questions from the board? No? Any questions from the public? Do I have a motion to approve the waiver of land development with the conditions that Craig has just
Outlines.
outlined, with the increase of escrow and
Subject to our review letter of October 10th, 2025.
do I have a motion?
That motion.
Stephanie, do I have a second?
Second.
Mary Beth, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, action item D, consider a motion to adopt resolution 2025-10 preliminary final land development plans for the Barry Road subdivision. Craig?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe the applicant is here. There's one up. You have seen this, I believe, once before. This is a 4-lot subdivision over on Barry Road, single-family homes. They had a little bit of a I would say not issue, but some healthy discussion with PennDOT. I don't know if everybody knows, but I get that asked all the time. Barry Road is a PennDOT road. It's not a township road. So they had to go to PennDOT. So that delayed the project for a little while, gave us time to work out some other issues. They're requesting preliminary final tonight. I know that is a discussion. I advised Justin that can be discussed tonight at which path after his presentation. and I'll kick it over to the applicant.
Awesome, thank you. Justin Strayhorn with WB Homes. Good to see you again. I think it's been a year since we showed you guys the sketch plan, the board and the planning commission. I'll just give you guys a brief update to piggyback what Craig said. The layout has not changed from the sketch plan. It's still just an extension of that stub road. The 4-lot subdivision is what we're proposing there on the roughly 10-acre site. We have worked with the township consultants on the engineering, all the specifics, the ordinance requirements, et cetera. Did get recommendation from the planning commission in March of this year on the plans with the waivers as requested. Subsequently cleaned up the plans further, submitted them back to Gilmore's office. They reissued the letter. We're in receipt of that latest letter. Our opinion is those are largely cleanup items, clarification from that standpoint. All the major engineering technical aspects have been worked out with the township consultants. The waiver request, be happy to go over those, but they're majority just due to the nature of this being a private drive and not a dedicated township street roadway. Outside agency approvals, we did obtain the MPDS permit for the project. As Craig said, we did get an HOP for the project from PennDOT, which was interesting.
First time someone's got a PennDOT permit before they even got plan approval,
Yes,
but.
yes, that is a new one for us. Really, that's it in terms of an update. We did receive the draft resolution from the township, but we're here tonight to obviously answer any questions or field any comments you guys have at this time.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I only had, looking at the plan on the computer, I had concern about the plantings that are pictured on the plan.
Okay.
Right up to the gas line easement.
Okay.
So I don't know because it's possible really to tell from the one I have, how close to that easement are you intending to plant?
Those plants, so the plant symbols are generally sized for their close to their mature spread.
Okay.
So they are planted, they're not planted right on the easement line and they're not near the actual pipelines, but in full mature growth, the canopy would just get to the easement.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that was trying to work with the feedback we got from, I know a lot of the neighbors here this evening, trying to buffer some of those residential areas. So we tried to do as best as we could, and obviously not being able to go into the easement.
Right.
You could, but then they'll just cut it down.
Well, that was
Yeah,
my
that's exactly-
concern,
yeah,
that
cut
they are particular.
Yes.
They actually do the trimming. They'll just cut them down.
Yeah. We've done a number of projects at WB Homes with that pipeline, and they are very concerned about their pipeline, as they should be, but they're also very non-apologetic about when they come through.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And Craig, what's your recommendation?
I have no issues with the resolution tonight. I understand there's concern that there's 6 pages of comments. I do agree that about 3 of them will not go away until he records the plans. They do agreements. They've been nice to work with as far, and I don't know if you haven't been in a township anytime soon, so, right?
We did Colebrook.
Colebrook,
We did,
yeah.
but that
There's
was
a couple new members
Yeah,
on the board,
correct.
but the applicant's very nice to work with. From the planning commission, I mean, it sounds like they were working with the adjacent owners, which I'm assuming we'll hear about later. So if you want to go to public comment, see how that goes, and then we can decide a path. I will tell you, I think Justin would rather, if you're not going to vote for preliminary and final tonight, I think his choice is to bring up the plans one more time and come back for preliminary final. Doing just preliminary and then going back through the whole process is very cumbersome. And I have no problem with that, Scott, and I've done that numerous times, but I do agree that the plan will look identical to what you've seen. It hasn't changed actually since day one. All the waivers are the same to support the design of the road. So I have no concerns about the, and everything's tied. I think, Mary Beth, you mentioned about trying to save more of the trees, the larger specimen trees. That is,
It had been discussed last
yeah,
year.
so that is a
through the
condition.
PUC.
That is not in my letter in case anybody has just my letter. They have agreed to that. If there's anything that's diseased and dying, I put per my approval they could remove that, but any existing mature tree in good condition over 30 inches or greater shall be preserved unless otherwise approved by the township engineer to be removed. They did have some concerns with that, but because they knew some of them are diseased or not healthy. So we would do, our arborist, we would make sure we certify to that. So they're okay with that. That was a comment added to the resolution that was raised by, and I'm glad you brought it up. It's in our new ordinance. They're under the old ordinance because they submitted it a year ago. So that requirement was not on with this application.
Just my one question, looking at the aerial view, it's very much an open field. And since we have just had one development, new development that had come in, and since it was under conservation easement and had asked to plant trees in the conservation easement, I could see in the future that some future resident might want to plant trees in the back half on the other side past the, not the easement, the pipeline and stuff. They would still have to come in front of the board to ask for permission to plant any trees in that back conservation easement.
No, not, in fact, this is something I discussed at staff level. We have to be careful on, and it's hard to control, but the easements in the back, there's only one conservation easement that's required by ordinance, which is in the back of lot 2. That's where the woodlands and the creek are, and I think the neighbors that are on the other side of that
Point that one out.
would like to keep those based on planning commission comments. So they are preserved. Part of, this is what happens at very early part.
Yeah.
The easements on the back of the other lots,
Can I just ask, which one is
Which
lot
one is,
2?
yeah, which one is lot 2?
It's very hard to read.
Yeah,
This one. It's very faint, that's all. So,
walk through each easement, Justin, just to show them.
This is lot 2.
okay,
That's where that conservation easement is back here on lot
okay.
2.
Actually, it's the back of 1 and 2, I'm sorry. Right, the natural,
Back of one.
yeah,
It does cross that line.
yeah, it crosses the whole
Oh, I'm
way.
sorry.
Yeah.
This is before you get to the,
Yes, yeah.
before you get
Okay.
to the existing water feature.
Okay.
So just for context, this is lot 2, lot 1, lot 3 and 4, and then I think what you were speaking about is here's the easement and the pipe
Yeah.
here. This is
Yes.
that conserved area.
So they, at my request, I asked if it would be nice, given your push for open space and conservation, and I hear that in every meeting, I asked, as part of the negotiations with the design of the layout of the lots and also the road geometry, there's give and take, there's 10 waivers. I asked if they'd be willing to deed restrict and preserve behind that easement, and they did agree to that. I think that's a couple acres. That is not it's labeled conservation easement just because it's a plan note. But it was meant to be deed restricted from any pools, sheds, any type of primary accessory structure. So if they want to plant back there, they're more than that. There's no,
They would not have to come in front of the board.
it's not our
Okay.
easement. There's no restrictions per the ordinances.
Okay.
Conservation easement that Justin mentioned at the beginning does have regulations and requirements attached to it that's got to prepare a conservation easement for.
So it's two different kinds of easements.
There's also a drainage easement then.
Okay,
Let's not get into that one.
Yeah, so that one's pretty self-explanatory. That's where all the stormwater, but there are actually 3 easements on here. I think in the future, at staff level, we did discuss making clear what is required easement, like a conservation easement versus just a deed restriction.
okay,
It's easy for an engineer to label the whole thing as just a conservation easement. So we'll make sure we separate that
okay,
moving forward. But they can do any type of plantings, anything landscaping, just no structures, and I believe the notes are on there, but if not, that's already been agreed to, that no, except, so no one can put a pool back there, no one can put a shed back there. And under full disclosure ordinance, you also, any future potential buyer will be aware of that restriction.
okay, thank you.
All right.
Any other questions from the board? No? Any questions, comments from the public? Please come up, and how about you come over to this microphone over this way so that the gentleman can stay in the middle and he can do his answers. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
this one, right?
Just state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Carol Boyd. I am adjacent to Lot 2. And my address is 217 New Galena. We were at the Planning Commission meeting. The gentleman who I think might be the president of WB Homes gave me the paperwork. He said, you can keep it. I said, great. So so I am especially curious in the change to the plans. Because at the planning commission level, they had a big storm drain here. And it looks like on the current plan, it is not there. But I think there was some discussion at that meeting with regard to stormwater management and the basin here. So if you could give some clarification.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That plan, just for clarification, that plan was at one of the initial planning commission meetings. That
Okay.
was, that plan was not presented
Right.
when we got the
That's the original
recommendation.
plan.
That's the plan that the
Okay.
PC recommended, just for full
We didn't,
disclosure.
and we didn't support that. You typically don't do one basin
Okay.
for a lot. So each lot owner, they're gonna build different size homes, have different patios, pools, all that. So each lot has its own facility, and it's not one regional basin.
Okay,
They're now underground facilities as the township engineer described on each lot that would take the stormwater from their own respective driveways, patio and house.
I see. And I remember there was discussion about that
Mhm.
at the last meeting.
Correct.
And so my other concern is, our property abuts that lot too. But, we have an old farmhouse built 1790. There's a spring house right there and, gets a lot of stormwater drainage there. So when you were mentioning, Craig, about, potential plantings and things like that, would that be in the floodplain? Would that be in that area?
We do have the land. I think I've heard of this. What's for everybody's knowledge, this is the proposed plantings on the property. So you're over here.
Right.
Yeah, no, this area where that water course is, all the woods, all the mature, there is not gonna be any disturbance down there whatsoever from us.
Okay,
That is all within that conservation.
And then the
area.
addition-
That is to stay that way.
okay.
And then they did the additional, and then they've agreed to plant additional buffering. That's not all required by ordinance, but at planning commission, it was a very healthy discussion about additional buffering. So they've agreed to do that as well beyond,
But not.
well, there's already trees there. So it has to be left untouched. They can't,
And that's-
yeah, that's an easement. That'll be protected.
So, yes, real fast.
It's her home on this. Which one is her home? She said 217.
Yeah, these are under. So there's a facility here for this lot.
It's right.
Facility
Yeah,
here,
I'd say
which
that's
is
so there.
made here.
Yeah. Yes. They're just down the road.
The facility.
They try to talk about it. I said,
That's not safe, not correct.
They just put up a solar.
yeah.
That's what I thought.
It's very nice.
I'm sorry, we were looking at finding your house on,
Where your house.
and I
is in
said,
relation.
that looks like the property that just put up the solar array.
They're my new best friends.
Welcome.
I see them at every meeting.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else who would like to come up?
Is there gonna be any other road into that, or does it just come in that?
There's only one road. Yes.
It's just the extension of your existing stub, that's it.
Yeah.
Can't go anywhere else.
That will never go anywhere else. The houses are there now.
Traffic.
Nope, there'll be
Nope,
two
nope.
houses now, and PennDOT approved is only for the 4 homes. You have 2 existing, obviously, so that's it. There'll be no more development or improvements to that road.
Could you please stand and come to the front, please?
I just have a quick question. I live next to Boyd. Are these new homes gonna have?
Can you just come and just use the microphone, please? Just,
It's for the record. Thank
yeah,
you.
for the record, so we can hear. And just please state your name.
My name's Dennis Hamill. I live next to Boyd's and
you.
in that area. My main question, and I haven't been to the very first meeting, but do these homes have their own sewer and water, or is this a well and a septic system?
Public sewer, public water.
Any other questions or concerns from the public? Please come to the, yes, please. We just need to make a record for the audio. Yeah.
I know. Okay, Kathleen Davis, 32 Clearview Avenue, and EAC Chair. And so I want just a few clarifications on some things that I think Craig already did mention. One is there's at least 3 of those big trees. So we're pretty well guaranteed at least 3 of those will survive this, right? Okay, good. Because I noticed that in the paperwork, it's long, it's hard to get to all the little details, but it said that the EAC recommended certain things, but it wasn't quite in there that they were being done that I could find, but it might be there and I missed it.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Our letter recommended what we supported and agreed to.
Mhm.
So if it didn't say something, that's something that then I did our letter, and then when staff prepared the resolution together,
Mhm.
that's evaluated as well. So you're just like planning commission.
Right.
They provide recommendations, it's up to staff to pull it all together.
And then it was agreed to. So it is agreed to.
He's agreed to it verbally, but
Ah.
they have to vote on it. So that's a whole different story.
Okay.
Yeah, he is aware of the draft resolution, but the staff, so I think there might be one comment that you had in there that we didn't agree with, so we did not put that in there. So that's not in the resolution. So
Okay.
If you want to raise that issue, now is your time to do it, but I thought I knew what most of your issues were. 'Cause
You probably did, yeah. So another thing that I noticed this time that I hadn't seen before was that there are a number of Serbian spruce planned to be planted. Now, apparently this group is under the old ordinances, but I thought that recently most developers agreed to go with the native plant list that has been enacted. And Serbian spruce aren't native. And there are a number of native evergreens that could serve.
This might be so far back that that might not been mentioned to them. I have been doing that on anybody that was right before.
Mhm.
I'm assuming Justin will have no problem agreeing to all native species and he will check.
No,
So we
if
can-
there- if you have specific recommendations of what to replace what we have proposed that we can obviously get around here and that are native, we don't have any objection to,
Mhm.
substituting something that the EAC finds more appropriate.
Mhm,
That's
okay,
fine.
good. Is it for a windbreak or for a screen?
The
What would be the
buffer
purpose?
planning is for screen of the neighbors.
Yeah, there's all screening.
The Serbian spruce then would be
The evergreen,
screening.
yes.
Yeah,
It would be another evergreen, just whatever the
Right,
EAC
exactly,
thinks would be
exactly.
appropriate.
okay, great. So, all right, regarding other things, well, the riparian buffer will be buffed up a bit. That's probably pretty much agreed to.
I think
If you approve, yeah.
I think we would prefer to work with the township engineer on that, only because I went out there a couple times recently. That existing corridor is pretty well vegetated at this point. There's a lot of mature trees in there. There's a lot of undergrowth. It's pretty thick. It would be more of a sort of
Supplement.
field supplement because I'm only sensitive to this. I ran into this in a project we're working on in Lehigh County is we'd have to go in and do a fair amount of disturbance and tree clearing to plant trees. So it would,
You want that?
I didn't think so. So I would just say, rather than, a strict definition of what we're going to do, it'd be more based off of field conditions is what I would request.
Mhm.
In other words, leave it up to the engineer.
Well, I'm glad you're here. This is the issue. The neighbors would like to keep that buffer as is. I know and I know you have your concerns about native and invasive. And this is the balance that these 5 have to deal with that I knew was gonna happen where to match the new, if this was under the new ordinance, he'd be ripping down everything because if it's mostly invasive or partially invasive, he has to disturb that area. And that kind of flies in the face of the conservation easement where you want to stay out of the riparian buffer in the creek. So this is where the pushback is. And I don't have a problem either way, but it's going to be a township decision of if you have residents, do you really want to go in there and start clearing to get rid of the invasive species? Or do we just supplement where we can and do as a field? And if Justin was on the AC, so he's fully aware of.
Were you?
He-
In Talmenton Township.
Yes.
For a brief period
He
of
shouldn't
time.
have told me that, but he was, because like he knows too much and you guys will get along. But I don't have a problem if we have a field meeting to do that. But the last thing is I want any buffering taken down.
No.
When residents sit here and agree that there's a buffer.
The EAC's concern with something like this would primarily be stormwater, the clean stormwater, over, correct me if I'm wrong back there, kind of over and above trying to get rid of something that's non-native.
Okay.
The quality and the.
Water quality, yeah.
Yeah, of the stormwater.
Just the fact that they're going underground, the water quality is, I mean, that's what DEP is recommending. I know you and I've talked about that. but
Yeah.
The infiltration, the groundwater recharge is the best you can do. The plants are also, as good as well, but not everything
Under
is
the
direct.
circumstances of the shallow.
This layout, that isn't going to be a big impact or benefit to stormwater
Mm,
compared to what they're designing
mhm,
for DEP standards.
mhm, mhm. No, I thought we were talking about deepening the riparian buffer, making it a little bit longer toward the houses, away from the flow of the Little Creek. I don't think we ever intended to suggest that you would go in and clear out.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
There actually is a little strip there that so there's woodlands and then the easement goes out a little further past that into the lots. That is part of the conservation. So there's area to do some plantings if that's what
Mhm.
we. I'm just, you get equipment, you know how this works. You start saying they can go back there and it's hard to control them.
Yeah, and
No
equipment.
matter how much we promise here, once the guy's in
Mhm.
in equipment going back there. Now, right now, Justin, there's no proposed plantings back there. We were just gonna supplement.
Mhm.
Yeah, at this point, and I have to double check with the Bucks County, but no, that our limit of disturbance, meaning what our contractors are allowed, we did not have our LOD go back that.
No.
far. We did not intend to disturb any of that.
Mhm. Well, that might be for the better then.
In this situation, I know there's other applications we can do that. And this one, I don't want anybody back there. I want it natural and stay the way it is.
Mhm.
So they agreed to do other buffering for the residents that were at the planning commission that
Mhm.
regarding the houses and other issues.
Mhm. Okay. So I have a different question about this stormwater. I noticed there were quite a few, happily, corrections needed to be made to the storm tank system and its accoutrements that the engineer required, that I saw Janine signed off on it. I saw it was from Doreen, which is no doubt those things are improvements. And also there was, I think, the requirement that instead of to the individual homeowner, the stormwater systems had to be dedicated to the HOA, and the HOA was then responsible for the inspections and the maintenance.
The property owner, well,
The,
dedicated, but they would have oversight. So
Yeah,
an extra layer before the township gets involved. Each property owner maintains, they'll have their own O&M agreement prepared by the solicitor, operation maintenance agreement for each lot. They take care of their own facility. If they don't, the HOA will get involved.
okay.
And
I
if
didn't
the
think
HOA
that's
doesn't do something, then DEP and the township and everybody else get involved at that point.
Okay.
So actually, that saves the township money, and you have another layer of protection that there's not just one property, where if it's a single-family home up above Lake Lena, it's township staff fighting with the property owner that's not maintaining it because he's flooding out a neighbor. So in this case, we have an HOA as well.
Right. So how does the township know? How do we know? Because it's now the homeowners in the HOA, that the inspections are actually happening and everything is functioning. So that you don't
required
find
us now
out.
to do that part of your MS4. We just started doing that, and you'd be shocked at how many people that's just started. Janine handles that with the township staff on, please show that, provide a copy of your own agreement or provide copies of it, you inspected it. So DEP's really cracking down.
I
on
think
that.
I can answer. It'll be the same process for the township, just with added the HOA in the middle. There's a middle regulatory body, owner, we'll call them, that can take care of problems before the township has to step in themselves. We'll have the same regulatory responsibilities, but if there is that problem that arises, if the homeowner doesn't fix it, then the HOA has to fix it, and then township enforcement can happen. So we actually have two steps of people to then make sure it gets done properly before we really need to get involved is the idea.
Mhm. But I think I'm trying to back it up one step and say, how do we know that inspections are being done so that the problem doesn't happen?
There's no inspection being done.
There's no inspection because these things
They
are
own
supposed to be
property.
cleaned out,
Property owner.
property owner.
Mhm.
So we have no guarantee then that the property owners are actually going to be doing this or the HOA is going to be doing it.
That is every house. That's like
Mhm.
me telling you, I advise you to clean out your gutters every year.
Mm.
Clean out your gutters every year.
Well, it's private property, so.
And that's,
It's the same. That's what I'm saying. If
And
we have we have all the same the same things will happen with this from our standpoint,
Mhm.
township standpoint, the same things will happen with this property, except that adding the HOA in means there's a private person now also doing oversight where
Yeah.
my neighbor, where do we get the complaints from? We get the complaints from neighbors. Well,
Mhm.
now my neighbor also has enforcement powers over me to make sure I take care of my property
Mhm.
is the idea. So hopefully it doesn't ever get to that point.
Better.
Yeah. It doesn't actually, hopefully it doesn't ever get to the point that we have to worry about it. It's hopefully less likely if,
But no, we don't I know what you're saying. No, the answer is no. No township.
No requirement for
Can
inspection.
I tell you, we don't do that even for sewage systems.
Don't tell the sewer guy.
The health department does that,
Mhm.
but they don't ask for a yearly inspection,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I get it. Personally, I just think these storm tanks are in a slightly different category, but if they're the same as gutters, then
No, I'm not. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It says it on a plan and you're right. And I will tell you based on experience, no one cleans out and inspects any system, including their septic system, as what's required by health department.
Mhm.
until they need to.
Until they need
It
to.
becomes a problem.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Are there any more questions from the public? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Hello, my name's Joseph DiStefano at 76 Barry Road. I know the last meeting we discussed, I believe it's lot 4, the top right. We were discussing possibly a type of reservoir to collect any type of storm water that was collecting back there because where that backs up to the tree line, we know we get a lot of runoff. I know we discussed that before. I wasn't sure if it was still on that plan of any.
That then reflects and the inlet was moved further back and then a sump area to grab all that stormwater. That is what that plan shows.
Okay, just wanted to
Per our
make sure.
discussion last
Yeah,
time. Yep,
okay,
It
yep.
does.
And like you said, with the easement, with the gas line,
I understand I understand a lot of flows through that easy.
oh, it does, yeah.
I know,
And
I
I mean, my swale can only keep up so much because it does collect what it can, but
He's not
yeah.
allowed to enter that and he's not allowed.
Yeah.
He'll do.
So the other side of that gas line, like you said, structure wise, nothing.
Yeah,
can
so
really
that was
be-
part of the agreement.
Okay, that was part of that agreement too. Okay.
Well, it reduces impervious, it reduces.
Sure, yeah, going into that tree line. Okay, yeah. And I guess like some pumps or anything coming from that house, you're gonna try and direct to street, I'm assuming?
Well, I will just tell you from the standpoint of the existing grades working in concert with the proposed grades. It's basically this area, anywhere back here is left like in the conservation unit, left for that up. All of the impervious, everybody's patio is captured this direction into these tanks. So even if they put a sump pump out this way, it's not going into the easement area,
Sure, yeah,
it's going into the stormwater management.
Okay.
I'd be happy to share afterwards, there's a post-development drainage area map, which actually shows where the drainage goes after we're finished, and none of it goes that way.
Okay, oh, I mean, I wouldn't think so. There's a lot of grade that goes,
Yeah.
that direction in general. So, yeah, because that is a lot. But yeah, that was our main concern of
Yep, understood.
how much of an easement there was with that. And I mean, moving it, yeah.
We pushed it back as far as we could to capture that rear yard of that proposed property.
Okay, yeah, because even, I mean, because the gas line runs diagonally through my property and that easement, I mean, we were debating on building out and it's at my gutter. So there's no expanding
I
left or
saw
right.
that, it's pretty close to your house.
It's very close, yeah, and they've been out there, yeah, as much as they can be with any type of machine.
You've seen them.
Yeah, oh, they're out there, yeah, as much as they can be, so, okay, great, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Please come forward and state your name and address.
My name is Lucy Jones. I'm 373 Creek Road. Just so you mentioned, where does the water go from those 4 units, sewage? Can you explain stormwater tank things?
Sure. Explain the tank or where the flow goes?
You had just mentioned earlier, eventually where it goes when it's.
Yep. So I'll try to make it brief and quick. Any of the lots, any of the proposed impervious gets captured on, like it was mentioned, the individual underground stormwater facilities. Those then come this way and they discharge here, here, and here. So all of this stormwater management gets contained in those systems. It's held back. Big giant storms are held. These are 36-inch pipes with 4 to 6.5 feet of stone underground to hold all that volume. And then that rate is released slowly over time. So right now, none of this area is contained by any stormwater management. It just runs off into this drainage feature. This now holds it back and releases it slowly. There's a certain level that infiltrates into the ground to recharge, but it's released slowly. But the discharges of these stormwater management facilities get to where it needs to go, which is the drainage feature that's on the property.
What regulates the slow?
It's called an MRC basin. What regulates it is we have to meet the township stormwater requirements, the conservation district, and the state requirements. So it's DEP.
How does it work?
It's it's an outlet structure. So it's a concrete box that has it has a weir wall in it, and then there's an under drain underneath of these where it's a small opening that allows it to trickle out at the rate it's supposed to trickle.
He's really good though.
Wait, with a passive system. Nothing turning it on and off.
Oh, no.
No different than a conventional above ground where you see a big hole in the ground and there's a concrete box.
Underneath.
It's on the ground, same thing. It's just pipes instead of dirt. But there's still a box and it's still controlled.
Okay. Any other questions? Yep. Please stand up and come to the
microphone one more time. Thank you.
Wait again. My question is what's the term for those big storage tanks?
Those are called an MRC basin, a managed released concept. It's a DEP approved stormwater facility.
So the MRCs, is there something that will be planted on top of those?
It's just long.
Just lawn?
Yep.
Okay, and my other question is, as I think somebody over here mentioned, maybe it was Craig, I can't remember, but it was that the water historically has typically flowed in the direction towards our property. And now it will be collected, but is that necessarily a good thing? Or should we continue to allow the water to flow as it has for the past?
I'll answer that. It has, by law, it has to go the same area, just slower and less volume. I knew that was gonna come up again. And I'm sorry, it's a good question. State law, township law, we cannot take all the water, even though you're here at this meeting today. Hey, we're gonna send it somewhere else to another neighbor.
No. I'm actually, people are concerned, like you were concerned about too much water. And I'm saying kind of the opposite. If for our property, I'm saying like we.
Oh, no, that's right. You did bring that up.
Yeah,
No,
we
it won't-
always have water coming.
Well, you live next to the creek, so that's where all the water is going. It'll still go there.
Yeah.
Just a little slower, but it'll eventually get there. Whatever goes into the ground will be a bonus, but you might get a little less, but it's not.
Because we do have like frogs and.
No, I got you. No, DEP.
I think the idea is not to flood your property.
You know.
Yeah, no.
You'll still get this, you'll still get
Water,
water.
you
You
just
still have the
won't be a
water.
flood.
Yeah.
I'll turn it out. I know.
It's in a public meeting. Can you add more water to my property?
Take it.
I know, I'm kidding.
Right.
When we talk about the environment, what impact does that have? on the environment?
Sorry, I couldn't resist that. I apologize.
Please come forward and state your name and address.
Amy Festi-Meyer, 96 Barry Road. And just what you just talked about, when that water channels over there, will it create a swampy area, mosquitoes and things like that happening? When the water is drained that way, I know you're going to
It'll keep
control
going
it,
to the creek and keep going.
but it
Go
won't
down the
create
creek.
like a swamp
No, it'll be under.
in any way.
No, the grade will
Ground.
keep, the water will keep flowing down to the creek and keep going. No, they're not allowed to, you can't create this, because that's a low lying area there. That would be almost creating wetlands.
That's what I'm
No, they're
wondering.
not allowed to do that. Yeah.
It is wetlands down.
There's probably a portion of it along the creek.
Gonna get worse.
Yeah, well, it sounded like that MRC will remediate it, but I don't, that was my question too. I basically understand.
Rose swamp, anti-swamp.
Yep.
Any other questions from the public?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
Just go ahead. Go ahead.
do we have a motion to approve resolution 2025-10 preliminary final land development plans for the Barry Road subdivision with the extra,
The only one I have would be that,
Native plantings.
that all plantings would be native plantings per the current township ordinance.
Mhm.
And the applicant has indicated they would agree to that, and there's no other changes to the resolution.
What's the date of your review letter?
It's in the, well, we have a resolution for this one. so
Okay, all right, never
Yeah.
mind.
Your adopt, the resolution references my letter.
And we'll just amend the resolution and yeah, his, if you want to know, his last review letter was September 18th.
Okay.
And that's referenced in the letter, so, or in the resolution, excuse me.
so do I have a motion to adopt the resolution 2025-10 preliminary final for Barry Road subdivision with the recommendations of native plants from Gilmore's letter stated on September 18th, 2025? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Bridget, do I have a second?
Second.
Stephanie, any questions or concerns by the board?
You did that.
Yes.
We did.
Very
Follow all
well
those
done.
instructions.
Okay.
Get it all done.
those In favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No problem.
And find some more water for her, but not water for her.
My backyard, I'm getting lots of it from the houses up the road. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on from action items to information items, departmental reports, finance. Quick.
You have a copy of Kristen's report. The highlights are the bullet points out there.
Mhm. Mhm.
That was all.
Mhm.
Planning commission.
While I close the door.
Can you shut the door back there?
Could you shut?
Thank you.
Can you close the door?
Close the door.
Thank you.
So we can.
Yeah.
Ah.
All right, there we go.
Okay, thank you very much. All right,
Thank you.
finance.
Yeah, you have a copy of Kristen's finance report. The highlights are the bullet points that
Mhm.
she pointed out to you. Again, revenues are trending in a very positive direction and expenditures in a good direction.
Okay.
We're bringing in more money than we anticipated and we're spending less.
Good.
at the time. So, we took all that information and plugged it into our proposed 2026 budget, which we will be reviewing shortly.
Okay, I just have one question. The Pennsylvania MMO payment is more?
Yes. Yeah.
Does
And
that mean
got
that,
distributed to the pension funds.
okay, is
Even
there a
though in the
reason?
past,
Yeah,
We just budgeted what they gave us last year.
yep. Oh, okay,
Because we don't know what that.
okay. So there's no
Comes in and-
reason, yeah.
Comes and
there's
goes
no
out.
Real reason why it's 145%. It seems quite a lot more than
No,
what we,
The state determines the value.
okay.
They come up with a unit value and each non-uniform employee is 1 unit, and the uniform employee is 2 units.
Okay.
Okay.
And that they use that as a multiplier
Mhm.
to get your state pension aid.
Okay.
We don't know what that we don't know what that unit value is gonna be.
Big,
We just
yeah.
budget what we see in the prior year. That's all we can do.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
Yes, don't murder me. Do we have any, is there any known impacts right now to the lack of the budget being passed in the state and impacting New Britain Township to our budget? Or are we not there yet?
No, the only thing that's holding us up right now is we still do not know if we're getting the park grant.
Okay.
budgeting like we're getting it.
But that remains to be seen still.
Assuming-
Yep.
Haven't heard yet, and we
Okay.
won't hear until state passes their budget.
Okay, thank you.
Right, Park and Recreation.
Yes, first, Park Department did a great job of getting our parks ready for Fall Fest.
Mhm.
The facility looked fantastic. Fall Fest was very successful. I'm sure the board's going to talk about that. And they're maintaining the fields and doing the cleanup projects and getting ready for the end of season, with what they do as far as the grass cutting and so forth.
Okay, and all projects have been completed that were on the books for Park and Rec, except for the parks, except for the playground?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? No?
No.
Public Works?
Yes, as tonight you made the final payment on the first and only payment on the road program that is wrapped up for 2025. We'd like to thank Gilmore for their assistance again, and the contractor did an excellent job. And that project is completed. Public Works portion of it was basically taking care of all the inlets, making sure that they were all properly.
Sorry to interrupt. Somebody just fell in the parking lot.
Oh, geez.
You're gonna have a quicker chance than I am.
Well, we got an EMS guy there.
The neighbors fell out.
Thank you, Justin.
Okay.
Mm.
EMS is here, so.
Yep, we've got a
let's-
nurse and an EMS. Okay.
Oh, Margaret went out there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And we just lost our policeman. So, police.
The chief would say you have his report. If you have any questions, ask him.
The only thing I wanted to make sure is the drug, because the date's not on this agenda, the drug take back is this Saturday, is that correct?
Yes, it is correct.
Okay, all righty. Okay, zoning?
Yes, you have a copy of Doreen's report. As you can see, the office is very busy. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them if I can. If not, I'll get the answers for you.
Okay, no, it's good to see. I like the report. So, okay, engineer, Craig.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You have our October engineers report. The only item I want to highlight is related to the Walnut Street Warehouse project. They did submit a sketch plan, a floodplain study, and some traffic analysis. So we're trying to figure out what planning commission meeting to have that on. And I'm assuming you go to planning commission. So staff has to talk about the process for that. There's a lot of moving parts on that, so maybe we'll know a little more in November, depending on how zoning goes. The floodplain, just to make a comment on the record, I guess. Scott and I feel, even though your ordinance kind of describes how the process should go, that it's really FEMA that makes that decision. So after our just kind of overview of the input parameters, I believe we'd like to have it sent up to FEMA to review. I'd rather have them review it, and then if there's issues, you comment on it. If they're okay with it, then that's fine. But I don't really understand the process of why it has to go in front of them.
I'm not sure. I looked through some other ordinances. It's actually the same, but yeah, for the most part, floodplains, all that stuff, it's largely controlled by FEMA. So it's even the way it's written, you're not allowed to make the change unless FEMA recommends it or requires it. So
They did a study, they've come up with their study of what is or what isn't floodplain,
Yeah.
wetlands, et
well,
cetera.
they're asking
No.
to modify it.
Yeah, they're honoring it. There's just one little section where and we see these all the time. They're called fill. They're going to do a letter of map revision -F, which is fill. So they're going to fill a little area. The line's going to change a little bit, but they have to prove to FEMA that they're not changing the water surface elevation, which I've looked at them a lot along the Delaware River. It doesn't usually change that much unless you really
You're
fill.
filling in the actual,
And then so then FEMA will approve, if and when they approve it, I'm assuming they will,
Yeah.
then that will be the new line. And then in the ordinance, it automatically becomes part of your new floodplain map. And FEMA approves a new line.
okay.
So we have that along like the Delaware River where each property gets built and it goes like this. It's a very small area. I think, I know a lot of people were concerned about it, but they're not touching any of the area. I highly doubt FEMA will reject it. So far, I haven't seen any issues with it, but they asked for our review of that. They didn't have to have that, but they wanted our review. So it's not something to come before you. I just didn't want, I know everybody asked me about it, but it won't be some big presentation on a FEMA, unless FEMA rejects it and then we have an issue or they have an issue. So,
They have an issue.
yeah, they have an issue. Yeah. So that's all I have. It's close to it's the one building close to the intersection of County Line and Walnut Street, right in the back. It's a very small area.
They're not filling in the creek, they're filling in the.
Oh, no, they're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
even the creek.
No.
No, this
It's-
is the flood fringe.
When you sit at the light on Walnut, basic county line, you'll notice that the land is much lower right there. And when they presented this last time, they said they intended to fill that.
To level it out.
Level
Of the 100-year flood. So if you go look at the 100-year flood map, it comes much closer to the road. So it's one
So it's not in,
corner of the building.
they're not in the floodway, they're not in the creek, they're not in the floodway, they're in the fringe.
They're nowhere near a creek. This is right at the corner.
Yeah.
Give their opinion.
We don't control FEMA.
They've deposited extra escrow for me to look at before they send it up to FEMA. I don't,
Because everyone wants you
Right.
to correct their plan.
not up to me.
It's really not, yeah, it's,
They just keep.
Yeah, the part of the parking lot.
and part of the building.
Oh, yeah, yes, actually part of the building too.
No ambulance required?
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Nope. Well, now that we have our,
Good timing.
I'm going to say, is there anything you would like to add to your police report, Mr. Liskey?
No, I'm sure Mr. Fox
Yep.
did pretty well.
Yep.
Rotate back to coming up October 25th,
Mhm.
our trunk or treat, October 3rd,
And
and
which police officers will be dressing up for that?
I'm not sure, I haven't checked this.
October 30th, you mean, right?
30th. That one's at New Season 6 to 8. Yes.
And, we'll be going around to all the neighborhoods on Halloween.
Wonderful. Make sure you drop it off at our house.
And we'd love to see you over here at the Fairwoods. Hint, hint.
Board of Supervisors comments. Bridget.
Okay.
Oh, I just asked.
Yeah.
Greg, are you finished?
Greg, are you done?
Yes, I said, yes.
Yep.
Bridget.
So big thanks to everyone who helped with our Fall Fest, our township staff, all the volunteers, police, EMS, everybody, and all the people that came out. So thank you. Great job on that. I was not able to attend, but I heard that it was our biggest yet. So that's really exciting. Happy Diwali to anybody that celebrates. I believe that is today. And then just a reminder that Veterans Day is coming up. That's November 11th. And so it's 11/11 at 11 a.m. is when we do, and most places do, their veteran ceremony. We have it outside the police building at the Veterans Monument. If you can attend, we would love to see you there. We will be recognizing a very special veteran who has recently retired from our township.